I'm Pat Thomson, and I'm one of the editors of the Insider's Guide to Success in Academia.
And I'm Helen, and I'm the other editor of that series, which is published by Routledge.
And we're going to talk today a little bit about how the series started and how we organised the series. And I guess I'm going to kick it off because I kicked off the series, and it really, I guess, formed as an idea in my head as I was looking around at everything that was being published around doctoral education and support for early career researchers. And as I was looking at what was being said and asked on social media and in blog posts, and thinking that there was kind of a gap in the publications. The publications are often quite general, and there were a lot of topics that people were interested in, which could do with a bit more, that could have done with a bit more than, you know, a chapter here or a few pages there, that people were really interested in. And so it started to occur to me that perhaps there was a place for some little books that covered some of these more niche kind of topics. So I had this idea, and then I went to Helen.
And that was so much fun to think about. We spent a lot of time generating ideas because I really understood. I think I really got your vision for the series quite quickly. And I agreed as well from my knowledge of the literature, which is not the same as your knowledge of the literature, but we've got overlaps. I could see that there were topics like collaboration, for example. Everybody expects academics to collaborate, but nobody tells you how to do it. You're supposed to sort of learn it by osmosis, I think, or something, which isn't really, as I understand it, a very well recognized educational technique. So we thought of loads of these possibilities of areas of topics that we thought were perhaps didn't merit a full book, but had something important to say that was more than a chapter, more than a few pages, and would make a good half-length book, perhaps, a good short book. So I guess one of the things, if you're going to do a series, you have to do is know the literature and have a clear sense of the audiences and where the gaps might be. Would you say that was right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other thing that we did when we were brainstorming is we started to think of people who would be good to write them. And I'd already done a kind of series of blog posts actually about being a contract researcher, for example. So I had some people in mind who would be great to do a book about contract researchers. And if ever there was a book that needed to be written, it's that one, and it's part of the first tranche of 6 that we're launching today. And so I guess in a way, the topics of the book and the people will sort of emerge together, really. And I guess that says something else about what you have to know when you're thinking about a series, is that it's a good idea not only to have some sense of what the topics are and how that fills gaps in the field, but also who the people are who can actually write those books. And I think we've been pretty active in getting out and hustling and commissioning and tapping people on the shoulder and saying, you know, hey, how about it? We could really do the book on X, and we think you're just the person to write it.
Yeah, I think that's right, because like our knowledge of the literature, our networks overlap, but they're not the same. Some people are in both of our networks, some people are in one or the other. And the networks are so helpful, just asking people, hey, will you write a book for our series? Easier, I think, now that we can show a web page with several books on it and they can have a look at a couple and a feel. In the first year or two, it was harder because we only had a concept. We didn't even have a web page at the very beginning to show to people. But people still got it, and people still came on board and wrote some terrific books. I mean, I'm really proud of the quality of the books that we've got in the series. And I think another thing that maybe helped with that was that we've been quite hands-on through the whole process, not just kind of saying to people, oh, please will you write for us, but supporting people with proposals, with ideas, helping them shape it if they wanted. Not all of our authors have wanted that. Some have come in sort of with a fully formed idea, and we've just said, yes, great, or can you just tweak this and this? But also organising beta readers, we felt quite strongly that they would authors benefit a lot from feedback. So it's not formal peer review as such, but organising beta readers roughly from the audience and from different areas of the globe where possible to give feedback and input at manuscript stage. So that's sort of created, I think, quite a supportive structure for our authors, and we've had good feedback. And I don't think all editors do that. I don't understand why, but I don't think they all do.
Yeah, and I guess the final thing that I'd say is I think if you're editing a series, you have to actually be able to get along with the person that you're co-editing with. And I think there's a kind of, although we didn't actually know each other very well in another way, we actually knew each other quite well from social media in particular. And so that I think that being able to generate ideas, to have a bit of fun, but also for there to be some give and take in the job. So if somebody's having a hard time, somebody else picks it up. I think that's all part of the process.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this has been my first experience of editing a book series. It's a great experience. But one thing I know for sure is I would never want to try and edit a series on my own, because I think, yes, it's great to be able to kind of pick up for each other when that's necessary. But also, it's really true, I think, that two heads are better than one. And I think this is a better series for having both of us on it, because when we look at, for example, when a proposal comes in, we often have quite similar responses, but not the same. And you will think of details that I wouldn't think of. And I think also vice versa. So I think that's helpful for the series, and it's fun. I thought it would be fun to work with you, and it really is. So thanks for that, Pat.
Thank you.